Okay, so here's our D10 roll. Let's see what race we're rolling. We're rolling a 1. And which sub-race is it? If you all heard that, I have cats that are being active, and they apparently knocked something down. It doesn't sound like an emergency. I'll check on it in a little bit here. Race number 1, and we're going for sub-race 1. We're going for okay, this is going to be a hill dwarf. Alrighty. Next up, I combined gender and multi-class. If I roll a 1 through 45, it's going to be a female. A 46 through 90, it's a male. And I allowed for the chance that the character is going to multi-class, a 10% chance on the back end. So a 91 to 100 will be a multi-classed character. Let's see what we get by rolling a percentile. 60. This is going to be a male. Alignment is going to be another percentile. We're looking at a 94 and a 71. Ooh. 94 is evil. 71 is neutral. Neutral evil. This is going to be interesting. Yeah, I have 3 cats. You'll see them on my desk at various points in time. The one that's been running around and made the big clank is a big 16-pound tabby named Raichi. Then I have my sporty one, which is a slim little calico named Nisa. And then we have the grand dame of the house, Miss Sophie, who's she's a tuxedo. All right, so we have an evil hill dwarf whose level is going to be on a percentile here. 92. Ooh, we're making another fatty here. He's going to be level 16 something. Oh, I wonder if we're going to get a necromancer. An evil one. But is this character going to have feats? Percentile. 40, no feats. It's going to be straight up ability bumps. And finally, a class. We're rolling a d12. Here we go. A 1. An evil barbarian. I agree. I have nothing against dogs. I do prefer cats. Lieutenant Dan. And remember, Dan is pronounced with 2 syllables in that case. 1d2 archetypes. So we're just going to roll odds and evens on this. We'll roll a d10. Odds. It's going to be the first archetype, which is a Berserker. Oh my gosh, we're... No mercy here. Not even if it was a... It'd only be better if it was a gnome, because then it would scream gnome mercy. Class. Our height and weight. I went through and transcribed the chart down here, and how we use it. Here we have a hill dwarf. So they start at 3'8". We're going to add 2d4. We're going to add 6. So it's 3 foot, 18 inches. Haha. Or 3 foot, I'm sorry, math. 3 foot, 14. So we there we go. Now we take the same modifier of 6, and we're going to multiply it by 2d6. Six times 5 is 30. We add that to the base weight of 115. So 145. Nope, fat finger and things. Height and weight. We'll get the background. Let's do the age real quick since we're already down here. This is going to be another percentile. 45. Adulthood. So we have young adulthood that starts right at the cultural adulthood. That's like saying an 18-year-old is an adult. Yes, you're an adult. Congratulations. You can play the lottery. You can buy cigarettes. You can also, be sued into financial oblivion and go to super jail. But are 18-year-olds really adults? Then are we saying, well, like 25, 30, something along those lines? So that's why I busted out the character starting age as I did. You had child, which goes a little bit before, but we're considering him or her to be a prodigy. You have young adulthood, which starts right at the cusp and goes forward. Adulthood, midlife, old, venerable, and ancient. So you can go a little bit above the physically venerable cap. So here we have an adult. Adult dwarves start at 50. If they can go up to 350, why don't we add... Let's add 2d20 to this. And we get a 20. So we have... I don't know, would that still be adult? Yeah, whatever. We committed to it. 70-year-old. Backstory, no feet, and people make fun of his height as a Barbie. He became evil. Yeah. He kept telling everyone I'm an adult, and they're like, you're only 70. What are you thinking? Okay, so we have that. Now, background. We're going to roll a 13-sided die. And we get an 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, this is a noble or a knight also. Just like our last character. And we can decide which one he is. Knight is a slight variant off of noble. So we'll just make the note up here. Once more, I don't use experience points in my games. I go by what are called milestones. Player name, I'm going to leave that blank because once I establish some sort of a document sharing, if you guys want these characters, then put your own player name. Something to think about would be character name and some physical features. But let's fill in his backstory because that stuff can have a retroactive effect on the fluffy bits. Okay. Since we have our background, I like starting with our background because that's going to give us tools or proficiencies or skills that our race or our class might. But if we do these first, they're not going to be redundant. Those are feats. We got to go a little bit further up. Guild Artisan. We just made a noble. I wonder if we can make him... a knight of some kind. Let's see what that looked for again. A knighthood is among the lowest noble titles in most societies, but can be a path to higher status. If you wish to be a knight, choose the retainers feature instead of the position of privilege feature. One of your commoner retainers is replaced by a noble who serves as your squire. You know what? I bet we could work with that. If he's neutral evil... I mean, how many stories have you seen, animes you've watched, movies, books you've read, where, yeah, someone's a knight, but they're poor of character. I want to keep the stream kind of, PG, no worse than PG-13. But, well, I'll use French Canadian, and we'll say he's an EH a-hole, right? He's an a-hole. A? And, yeah, he's a knight in title, but he just carries himself. In this case, evil. Evil's always interesting. Very few villains wake up in the morning and say, nah, I'm evil. I'm going to destroy the world, the same world upon which I live. As they, scheme and hunch, and they got the, the wart nose or whatever. They're the witch, like, I'm going to eat children and not expect consequences. Not many villains do that. Evil is, to me, more of a selfish bend. In this case, we have someone who is very selfish. By being neutral, this is really going to be a self-serving knight. One that, you know what, there's a chivalrous code of honor, and if you want to fight along those lines, that's your choice. What is he going to do? He's going to use his own rules, which could include the chivalrous route. But if he happens to, you know, like do a high kick on you when you're doing a sword fight, well, you didn't expect it, and, well, he's in it to win it, are you? So I think that's how we can align him. So instead of noble, I think we can make this a knight variant. Being a noble, maybe he's just greedy. Oh, that's true too. Yeah, hey, I made it. I'm the noble. You know, send me to your, you know, especially being a barbarian. You know, with that, if you look at the Conan the Barbarian, right, in the first movie, the Arnold Schwarzenegger one, you know, he was used as like breeding stock, as a pleasure source. You know, nobles used him to bet on others. If that's how he grew up and that's the life that he knows, maybe he's evil to other people, but he's not just going to murder people in the street. Yeah, somewhat similar to a hedge knight in Game of Thrones. Or, geez, I don't have any glasses. You know, if I did, then I'd, you know, like, a song of fire and ice, as I push my glasses up. Or did I even confuse that as an ice and fire? Anyway. But yeah, you know, the hedge knights, they're scrappy people. Like, they're a knight because they're recognized as such, but that doesn't mean you're a good person. Skill proficiencies. He is going to get history and persuasion. One type of gaming set is what he gets a tool proficiency in. Gaming, maybe, I don't know, maybe he's a dice roller. Languages, he is going to get a language of his choice. By being a dwarf, you get common and dwarven on the outset, and then I'll put this down as we're creating this character. If you all have suggestions, what you think his mystery language would be, maybe it's Orcish because he deals with that, or maybe because he is a noble technically, and he rubs shoulders with muckety mucks. Maybe we go for a refined language like Draconic or I don't know, something. I'll throw that out there for you all. But he's going to get a language at some point in time. And equipment, he gets fine clothes, a signet ring, scroll of pedigree, which I'm sure he loves shoving in people's faces, proving his birthright. And a purse that has 25 gold in it. His feature he gets from this is position of privilege, but it's suggested for knight that we change that to retainer feature. If your character has noble background, you may select this. You have the service of 3 retainers loyal to your family. The retainers can be attendants or messengers, and one might be a major domo. Your retainers are commoners who can perform mundane tasks for you, but they do not fight for you, will not follow you into obviously dangerous areas, and will leave. So we're going to... Our retainer was a minor noble squire who will follow us into combat. So instead of getting 3 commoners, we're getting 1 combatant. So this is something that we can... This is great character backstory. Who's following him? You know, is if we're talking about Game of Thrones, is he the Podrick to the Brienne? Is the squire who's a part of this character, is the squire actually a good person who wants to try and redeem his master? Or is he going to turn out to be even worse than the master at some point in time? Oh, thank you, Delcorin. And also thank you, Tapwater. Very good. Okay. We get to roll for 2 personality traits of this person. And while there are suggestions on things that are generally, you know, like good or neutral or whatever, we can bend whatever we want. This is our story. We're creating this character. He's our baby. Our like 70-year-old baby. D8s. Here we go. A 3 and a 7. No one could doubt by looking at my regal bearing that I am a cut above the unwashed masses. Oh, that's exploitable for an evil character. And a little silly because he's a dwarf. But you know what? Whatever. He's above everyone. Hashtag not all dwarves. And the 7. What is the 7? My favor, once lost, is lost forever. That's right. If you don't, meet his expectations, never expect anything from him again. Oh, hi Squiddy a dig. Thank you for joining and commenting. Hey, can you make your character of dark skill color? Was that an autofill and you mean like a dark skin? We could do something like that. In fact, while the regular PHB mentions them, they don't offer the stat blocks like they do for elves and drow. There is a evil race of dwarves called the Duergar, which are dwarves that live in the Underdark. Or, even though we're going for a hill dwarf and not a Duergar, it doesn't mean that, if he's out and he's trying to, go to all the fairs and prove himself, he could have been exposed to the weather and a lot of sun. He could have, like, a nice dark earthen color, because he's a dwarf, too. Like, these are people born from the earth. So he could have, like a deep tan or just like a rich, like a chocolate or a brown kind of a thing, if we don't want to go for the almost supernatural, like, midnight black of the Duergar and the Drow and some of the other people who live in the Underdark. That's a good suggestion, and we can fill that in. Things like skin and hair and eye color will be some of the last things to fill in, and it's something to keep in mind as we're building this character. What has he been through? What is he strong at? And then how would that reflect in his appearance? The Duergar, traditionally in D&D lore, they are slavers. They control others. And in fact, you can even say they might have a bit of a short person complex because intrinsically they know the enlarge spell. So they can make themselves like 10 feet tall instead of, little 4, maybe 5 on a good day height 5 foot dwarves. So they are controllers. They tend to be slavers and inherently evil because of their culture to the other standard cultures. Next up, we're going to be rolling some D6s. This is going to be for his ideal. We have a 4. Power. Wow. This almost writes itself here. This is a naturally tending evil ideal. And we have an evil character. If I can attain more power, no one will tell me what to do. This stuff writes itself. You just got to be open to it. All right, next D6 is for a bond. We rolled a 9. Wait. Derp. Not 2D6. Haha! I can math. A 2. My house's alliance with another noble family must be sustained at all costs. Ooh. Ooh. If any of you are new in the past, like, half hour or so, we made a neutral good wood elf noble who is a rogue. She had the same bond as this character does. Now, completely randomly, on the back half, and by the way, as we fleshed her out, the family bond, whether it was for good or bad, was with dwarves. She could speak Dwarven. Now we just randomly generated another character who shares the same bond. What if in this case, through whatever the planets aligning, the stars smiling on us or whatever, what if he's, the other house? And we can work this into both of their backstories. And so here we have 2 diametrically opposed people, but maybe they're fighting for the same reason. They're just using different methodology. Or what if it's a weird kind of, like a Romeo and Juliet, right? Two houses forbidden to be together, yet they end up finding traction in each other despite their differences. That, I don't know, that seems pretty solid. I'm open to opinions. You all are welcome to hop in, and we're making a random character. This could be a completely different person. But I'll tell you, when we're doing random stuff like this, and you see coincidences, there are no coincidences. There are coincidences. Use it for storytelling. Everything's a roleplay opportunity. Okay, lastly, another D6, because we're all flawed creatures. So are our characters. Our dwarf's flaw is a 4. I have an, if I don't fat finger this, satiable desire for carnal pleasures. Oh my goodness. If we're weaving these two characters together, then maybe she's going to end up being the forbidden fruit. And you know what, guys? She's only 80 years old, so, I mean, that's kind of getting into some lewd territory. You know what, Tapwater? I think in this case, it would be safe to go back and actually say that his mystery language is Elven. Or Elvish, either way. You know, you could call it whatever. Whew, this is really coming together. Alright, so we have that. Now let's go up to our Hill Dwarf features. There's our genomes, Dargenborns, humans, not hobbits. They're hobbits. Elves, dwarves are the first up here. Yeah, you can see that they put a little blurb here for Duragar. Dun, 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 dun. As a dwarf, your con goes up. Well, first, as the placeholder, 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8. These are the base scores that we are going to weave into our character. By default, we're going to put a placeholder here. He's going to get a +2 bump to his con. All dwarves do. By being a hill dwarf, he's going to get 1 to his wisdom. Dwarven toughness, your hit point maximum increases by 1, and it increases by 1 every time you gain a level. So we're going to add in a modifier of +16 to whatever we end up rolling for him based on his con. Oh, he's going to be so tough. I wouldn't want to go against this guy. What else? Age, alignment. Yeah, we got size. Speed is 25 feet. Dark vision, 60 feet. Advantage on saving throws against poison, and you have resistance against. For any of you who are joining us, as I'm making these characters, I'm listing the name of the ability, and sometimes I'll write out the whole ability if we have room. As this is a 16th level character, I'm just going to put a reference, and you can go back into the PHB and look at what that particular racial or class feature or something else specifically grants. If it's nothing mechanical that I can add, such as a +2 to Arcana or something along those lines. So, Dwarven Resilience, which is something, if any of you are Game of Thrones fans, you know that the Mountain could have used in his fight with, why am I derping on his name? The guy from Dorne who used the spear in the one fight. Oh, hi, Avelian. Thank you for joining us. Who's my character? Are we talking like this random character we're making, or in a game that I'm personally playing in? Oberyn, thank you, Laughing Rogue, and also thank you for joining us in here too. Yeah, that barbarian could have used some poison resistance, I suppose. Well, I don't know. Arguably, he wouldn't be the man he is today if he didn't have it. Okay, so Avelian, the one on the screen, we're finding out who he is. We're completely randomly generating a character. As you can see here, I have a list of die rolls. Well, I'm pointing to... You just trust me. I'm pointing up. There we go. I got to learn the dimensions here of where I have my camera. We've taken a series of rolls and applied them to different traits, and now we're filtering those traits onto a blank character sheet, and as we do so, we're making up a character, not just mechanically with crunch, but with the fluff, too. What's his backstory? Who is he? What does he look like? Based on some of these roles, what are his motivations? That kind of a thing. And then he has Dwarven combat training, and this is going to give him some proficiencies. Battle axe, hand axe, throwing hammer, warhammer, in addition to what Barbarian's going to give him. Viewbot, thank you for joining and commenting. Would you ever make us an anti-paladin or paladin? Yeah, you know what? If one of you wanted to make a request of some kind, I mean, as long as I don't have 10 people asking for characters to get banged out, I don't mind doing that. And in fact, there is a chance even for us to just randomly make one, because I have a couple notes here. If we roll evil, you can see I have some asterisks here. We come down, and if it is a cleric, that's going to open up the death domain. And if it's a paladin here, that is going to open up the Oathbreaker, which is a DMG class, usually for NPCs, but I rolled one as a DMPC in one of my campaigns. Let's see. Whoops, was supposed to say make or use. Thanks for... Yeah. So yeah, you know, depending on the interest and the time that we all have, if there's something specific and you don't want to just pull one out of the ether and randomly generate it, I don't mind sitting down and doing it. This is, you know what, as I've shown before, I'm wearing a Bob Ross shirt. I love the guy. I like what he does, the stories he tells. I'm going to do something similar here with you all. If you come and watch me, we'll do random stuff. We'll paint happy trees and happy mountains, just in the form of, you know, dwarves and elves, and we'll tell stories around it. And, you know, we'll determine where the squirrels live and all that. Tool proficiency. He is going to get an artisan. Okay, so let me open this up to you, chat. We have this noble knight, hill dwarf. He is seemingly very selfish, hence his neutral evil disposition. He gets proficiency with smith's tools, brewer's supplies, or mason's tools. What do you think he should end up taking for his tool proficiency? And not just throwing something out there. What would be like a one-sentence reason? Make a Bob Ross. Yeah, probably as a bard of some kind. He casts spells through ASMR and other whispers. I'll tell you, dwarves in 4th edition were beastly. Oh my goodness. If you guys ever get a chance to play 4th edition, try rolling a dwarf. It'll be tough to put you down. Okay, Velian, I get what you're saying. Probably would say none of them. Tapwater says brewer for the constant drinking. A paladin who for whatever reason fell from grace and now using... Yeah. Yeah, the Oathbreaker has some interesting... Anti-Paladin or Blackguard, these are other synonyms for it. They have some interesting takes. If you want, we could maybe even purposely build one. Brewer Supplies, his family's known for the creation. Okay. Alright, Laughing Rogue. So I'm seeing a couple people saying Brewer Supplies. And you know what? He's a noble. Maybe he only drinks the best. Maybe he only drinks his family's vintage. Or otherwise he's just... he's a snob about it in some way. Oh. Memory Lapse, thank you for commenting and welcome. Mason's Tools because of a noble secret society. If you okay. What do we except the other one that with the wink wink nudge nudge. You know, the city that I live in, the roadmap, the foundation for it itself is actually the Masonic symbol. It's not even a cult conspiracy thing. It's very blatant. Valiant. Yeah, yeah. He knows how to use them. All right. So he's stone cunning, common dwarvish, subrace. Okay, we got that. Now we come down to our barbarians, who in my world were called as such because the tribe that lived in the mountains that were the original were called the Barbar tribe. And, you know, everyone's game is different. It's an important distinction for this part of character. Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Here we go. Cleric. That means we've passed by our barbarian. Bard. I had fun with a Barbarian one time. That was very interesting. My Bard, he wasn't necessarily my Barbarian. He was in concept anyway. His name was Jib Mountain Shaker, and he spelled his name with symbols, one of which included a little triangle that had shaking marks. I don't know why I'm doing this to the microphone when I should just be doing it to you all. Oh, hibbity jibbity. Let's see. A lot of this is going to start out at level 1, and we'll scale it from there. Oh, snap. Thank you. Thank you, Memory Lapse. Let's see. Strength and Con are going to be huge for our Barbarian here. I think we can assign these scores right up front. We're going to do 15. Let's put the 14 in Con plus the 2 is going to be 16. I'll go. I think he didn't smash his guitar, though he shouted a lot. And his shouting and his storytelling were what wove the magics. Do we want him to be charismatic? Because you can be evil and charismatic. Or do we want to put it more towards wisdom? So he's perceptive, or, you know, he's alert about what's around him. That, my, 51 to 49 would say he's going to be wiser. Not only is he racially more prone to it as a hill dwarf, but if you're selfish, self-conscious, you want a higher insight, you want a higher perception, you want to see and know what's going on around you. I'm playing a shout bar. Oh, in Diablo 2. Whoo! Oh, I know that's jump, but you do all like the flexing and the circles coming off of you. Oh, you know what? As a barbarian, shoot, Dex is going to have to be high too, because he's going to get some. He's going to get AC off of that, and Con, but we got to be careful about this. Oh, well, here, let's do this. Since we rolled that he's not taking feats, and he's going to take ability bumps, we're rolling a 16th level, so he's going to get 4 ability bumps. We can just put odd numbers in, and then do the 1 and 2 to round him up at later levels. So we can put the 13 in Wisdom for a 14. No, wait. I'm sorry. A 13 here, and then a 12 for a 13 in Wisdom. And then we have a 10 and an 8. Wisdom, or else he can't talk. I was way out when he's drunk. Good suggestion, Tapwater. So now we have the dump stat. Dump is intelligence. Dump is charisma. Either way, I don't think he's going to be the type of barbarian that goes, me, Kronk, smash, good. In fact, he knows 3 languages. Even if we give him an 8 intelligence, just by virtue of his, of his raising, of his education, he knows these languages. He just he might not be the, the brightest crayon in the box. Or, he has some history teaching, which, in Game of Thrones, if as a noble, you have to recognize the other house's banners, if nothing else, out of respect. So maybe that's where he got that, but... I like the idea of a charismatic sociopath. Now, why would someone named a laughing rogue take that choice? You know what? That's true. You have brains, you have looks, you have personality. Pick two. That's the general rule for that. So we'll go. He has at least average charisma, and he should be hitting the books more than he's hitting people. I'm confused. How does he have 15 strength? So up here, Evelion, there's a standard array of starting scores that you get as a character. 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8. And I put the 15 in his strength because barbarians, they're muscle wizards. They cast fist. They, can move things not with their mind but with their hands. They can do a lot. And so having a high strength as a barbarian is important. Okay, so that takes care of that plus the racial. Which means that Constitution, at least starting out, that's going to be a +3. So a barbarian has 12. +3 is going to be 15 starting. And then we're going to ultimately add in 15 levels times con mod. And we'll determine that after we make any adjustments in his ability scores. Because if you bump up the con score enough to adjust your con modifier, you retroactively get hit points for every level of whatever you are. So we'll just keep that as a placeholder. This is going to be easy because you get a hit die per level that you are. He is level 16, so he has 16 D12, and he's not in combat, so lo and behold, he has 16 D12 available. No temporary hit points that he carries. Alrighty. Light armor. Medium armor. Shields. Simple weapons. Martial weapons. No tool proficiencies. He gets a strength and con saving throw. I'm down here under the proficiency area. Strength and con. Being a dwarf didn't give us intrinsic skills. Our background did, and we already filled in history and persuasion, which are going to be opposed to what we're getting as a barbarian. So let me get input from you all. We get to choose 2 skills from the list that's provided right here. This is animal handling, so he knows how to ride a horse or calm a horse, or if he's riding one into battle, he can keep it on track and not, bucking him off. Athletics, so, feats of strength. Intimidation, which is based off of charisma. That's kind of going grr at someone and they listen to you. Nature, can I eat this berry or not? Perception and survival. Survival is tracking, finding food. They're survival skills. Bear Grylls stuff. Whereas nature is more of the scientific. I know the names of things. I know the average flight speed velocity of an unladen swallow. That kind of a thing. Evelion, yeah, perception. It just like having Constitution always as your backup, as your second or tertiary. You can always use more hit points. Perception isn't necessarily bad to take. Delcorn, good catch. I'll leave that to you. So we have perception, intimidation. He is a barb, yeah. Survival. Now we have to look at the strengths too, because all right, well, let me take a step back. In 5th edition, especially with the type of DM you have, you don't have to min-max something. You don't have to be good at, for instance, his charisma is 10. He gets a +0 modifier. That doesn't mean you can't take intimidation. You can still be okay at it. And in fact, if you roleplay it correctly, you can get advantage on your check, which means you roll twice and keep the highest. Statistically, that gives you a +5 bonus. So yeah, you may not be off the rip the best at intimidation with a 10 charisma, but if you as a player are smart and you can manipulate the situation, you can storytell, you are getting an automatic +5 on average with advantage. Okay, I think perception is wise, especially because it's a wisdom skill. Let's get one more. I have seen intimidation. I've seen survival. Any of you want to back up one of the two with a reason, a sentence, something along those lines? While you're thinking, I'll continue going down a little bit here. Yeah, athletics too. You being able to lift stuff. Athletics is the only strength-based skill. I've seen 2 for intimidation. Taunt, you might be able to run it as a skill, as an action on your turn, depending on how you describe it in your DM. There are spells like Compelled Duel that might do something like what you're talking about. This isn't optimal, but as a knight, he might be interested in handling horses. That's true as well. So, alright, so we have animal, intimidation, athletics, survival. We'll go animal handling. It's playing a little bit to his strength as a wisdom, and he can be good with animals of some kind. And as we level, I don't know, maybe something will open up as a barbarian where he can get access to other. Yeah, we can get him a horse. Paladin can summon their own, but you know what? If you're a barbarian, you're like Link in Breath of the Wild. You just go out and get one. If it's being uppity, you just punch it. No, behave. If any of you have seen the old Mel Brooks movie Blazing Saddles, where you have Mongo, the guy comes in and he knocks over a horse. It's although to be fair, Velion, it's not just with horses. This could be, I don't know, maybe he wants to wrestle a bear or something. It could be even, I don't know, he's having a good day and he sees a little baby rabbit in the road and he wants to soothe it because it makes him happy. Okay. Equipment. Great axe or any martial melee weapon. 2 hand axes or any simple weapon, an explorer's pack, and 4 javelins. I thought, yes and no. It partly depends on your game, your character, how you describe it, how your DM sees the skill. Yeah, Delcorin. Let's see. You know what? He is a dwarf. He's proficient with axes. Let's give him a great axe. Hand axe times 2. So he has ranged weaponry. I mean, I guess he's getting the javelins too, but so maybe in that case, I don't know, 2 hand axes or any simple weapon. That could be a dagger. Daggers are always useful. Give him the light hammer. Are you talking about that as like an artifact out of the DMG memory lapse? Throwing hammer? Oh, okay. Throwing hammer instead of hand axes? Yeah, we could probably do that here. I believe they're I believe they're close enough in damage. They're thematically make sense. If you were my player and we're doing a character build and you propose that, I don't see a problem with it. And an Explorer's Pack. Okay. He's going to be getting a lot of abilities. Once more, as a reminder, I'm going to be putting down the name of the ability. He's going to get a lot, and we're not actively playing this character, at least not yet in some capacity. So I'm writing down the name as a reference to, you can look it up in the PHB, in the PHB, the Player's Handbook. Because we're going to have a list, especially at level 16, that he's going to have to go through. So he's bludgeoning damage as well for range. Yeah. That is a wise move, memory lapse. When you are creating a character or if you're doing some shopping, different monsters are vulnerable or have resistances to different types of damage. And as well, even though you have a burly melee character, some weapons have the thrown property. And if that is the case, you can be a strength character and make a ranged attack using your strength modifier and your strength modifier for the damage. Alright, as a barbarian, you get the classic rage, and there's a lot of neat stuff that comes with that. Unarmored defense, which we will give him because he doesn't have any armor right now. So we will need to come back and calculate that after the final stats have been generated. Reckless attack, which if you have it, I would always use it. Yeah, you know what? It makes you easier to be hit, but you have a ton of hit points and you have inherent damage reduction. You are the epitome of the meat shield. You have a fighter or a paladin in full plate. They are a tank. A barbarian, part of you raging even can necessitate you being hit so that you can stay angry at something. Don't be afraid of using reckless attack. Yeah, there's probably times when you shouldn't use it, but if you have it, go for it. Danger sense. And then we get our Path of the Berserker. We'll get into that in a second. Let's finish filling out the generic barbarian skills. Right now we have 2x attack intrinsically from extra attack. We also get fast movement. Our speed increases by 10 feet, so we're going to go up to 35. He is past level 7, so he is going to get Feral Instinct. Brutal critical. Relentless rage. Persistent rage. Boy, you know, being a barbarian especially, this really plays into the random personality trait of my favor once lost is lost forever. Because, phew, if he gets upset with you, he's going to stay upset with you. Persistent rage, and that's the last generic barbarian thing he gets. So now we can go down particularly... now let me look at the comments here. Come on, guys, no whip on an evil noble. That is a martial weapon. It might be something we could purchase along the lines, or I don't know, unless you see that maybe replacing the great axe, and so actually his primary weapon is a whip. That might be cool, actually. I can't say I've ever rolled a whip fighter before. Laughing Rogue asks, a little off topic, but is 5e your favorite edition? I'm coming from Pathfinder. 4th edition is my favorite. I like 5th edition. There's nothing wrong with 5th edition. My personal tastes and ways that I like running the game and even playing the game give towards 4th's structure. Its mathematical structure and the chassis for the game. I have no problems, no major problems anyway, with 5th edition. I run 5th edition in my 12-year-long campaign. I've always ran whatever was current. I have fun with it. It has a lot of options. Though there's a place in my heart for 4th. And I got started in 3rd. Yeah, Tapwater, you are correct. And Memory Lapse 5th is greatly streamlined. They took... so 1st and 2nd were... they were new. What was anything? We didn't have anything to compare against. And it kind of got convoluted. You had the whole THACO thing. 3rd edition was a reorganization, and it put everything on kind of a track. And then, of course, that was refined with 3.5 because there were shenanigans. 3.5 lasted a while, and then 4th edition came along. Many people said, oh, it feels like an MMORPG, or, oh, it feels like I'm playing a video game, that kind of a thing. Because of the way that it was structured, it seemed very tactical, more combat-heavy than fluff-heavy. But I argue, well, you're the player or the DM, you provide the fluff. I would rather just have a chassis that I know I can build solid encounters on, and whatever. And then 5th edition said, whoa, okay, guys, hang on. I'm going to take the streamlined elements of 4th, which streamlined even 3.5, and I'm going to take the roleplay fluff from the older, 2 and 2nd and 3rd editions, and we're going to, pineapple pen them into 5th edition. And so you have elements of 4th, and you have elements of older editions in it. That said, Pathfinder is what some people call 3.75 D&D. They took 3.5 and they refined it, but they didn't go as far as 4th edition did refining it. No, I know what Kappa is, but you did bring up an interesting point, something to contemplate. Whether we give him that or not, it's thinking outside the box. It's different. I'm open-minded. Okay. Path of the Berserker. What do we get here? So he is getting Frenzy, Mindless Rage, Intimidating Presence. When you choose to do so, choose one creature you can see. Okay. So that's nothing to do with the intimidation skill necessarily. So that's its own thing. And what else are you getting? And then at 14th you get Retaliation. Very cool. When it happens, I would say when 60 or 70, I will probably... Yeah. With 5th edition, Wizards has been dragging their heels a bit. 3rd kind of continued the legacy of TSR in 1st and 2nd edition with a lot of splat books, and especially with the Open Gaming License, OGL, there was so much third-party content. You could build all kinds of things. And it was very super structured, everything fit in a micromanaged setting. 4th edition, they revamped the setting, and then they kind of translated a lot of what was already out there into 4th edition. So it was splat heavy, but not in necessarily new terms. They just revamped older stuff into 4th edition compatibility. With 5th edition, it's been really light. It's cheap to get into, buy or download the PHB. The core 3 will take you wherever you want, but there hasn't been a lot of splat books. And they've also made the modules relevant because a module might have some magic items you don't find, some new spells. The Curse of Strahd has a background that's custom to Curse of Strahd. So they, instead of just putting out PHB 2, they've kind of spread out player options and whatever throughout mods as well, that you can go online and find if you didn't want to buy all the mods. I like the slower pace. I don't want to have to feel like I have to drop $40-$50 on a hardcover book every month or 2 months because a new splat something came out that I might not ever even use. Okay, so we made our Barbarian. Now we have to kind of juice him up a little bit. By 16th level, we have... let's see. Yeah. 4, 8, 12, and 16. We're going to get 4 instances of being able to increase his ability scores. We can, on each of these instances, increase 1 score by 2, or 2 scores by 1. As well, to keep in mind, naturally all characters have a limit of 20. Magic items or circumstances can break that, which is an interesting way that 5th edition kind of... I don't want to say that they capped things in a bad way, but it makes it reasonable that, you know what, yeah, we got this big 16th level barbarian strolling through a town. It is still technically possible for a 1st level commoner to injure him with a weapon and deal damage. Let's see what you guys are saying here. No, TSR is 0 third... No, yeah. TSR was their own thing, and then 3rd edition occurred, and then the OGL happened, and then you got all kinds of swords and sorcery. Even for a while, the Oriental Adventures was kind of its own thing that was shoehorned in. That's also where you get... there's a lot of other content there. Started with 3.5, is overwhelming, had a lot of bloat. I'm starting to feel the same way about Pathfinder. Laughing Rogue, yes. And especially now that Starfinder's out. Me restocking my RPG section in my store with Pathfinder, I've really concentrated on the core books until I know that there's a solid group around, because there's so many books, because Pathfinder has been out there for quite a while. Oh, hey, thank you, Pachakasan? Pochakasan? Oh boy, I'm murdering that pronunciation, probably. Well, thank you anyway for following. Let's see. Shedzar says, the WotC problems, they expect you to buy everything. You have to buy us the Nooble. Yeah. TSR model was just plug it in and go with it. The Splat was all optional pre-2000. Yeah. 2000 was the advent of 3rd edition. That's when I got started playing when I was going to undergrad school. D20 Naruto games with the OGL. Some friends of mine found a mod for 4th edition that was based on Avatar, the Nickelodeon cartoon. It was very interesting. It was very elemental based, and even for 5th edition, I play Final Fantasy XIV also. Someone in the Final Fantasy XIV community has made a campaign setting for 14 and took all of the classes and everything and made it and gave it the flavor of 14. It's really cool. That could be a stream in itself, is just exploring that free PDF. And thank you, Laughing Rogue. Yeah, I have the PHP at the store. Offhand, I couldn't tell you. It's a hardcover. It's probably going to be around 40 to 50. If you buy that, though, that's almost all you need. As a player, for sure. Even as a DM, you can get started, because in the back of the PHP, they have stats for basic monsters, commoners, some animals, I think some basic skeletons and stuff. So if you really just wanted to try it out, buy the PHP, and you can modify things out of that. And then if you really want to get into more options or something expanded, then get the DMG or in the Monster Manual. And Delcorin, it does seem like a lot up front, and I completely understand and appreciate that as a player and as someone who sells it. Overall, though, you will find that role-playing can be one of the least expensive hobbies that's out there. Because let's say you buy this PHB, that PHB can last you 10 years, and you can have 1,000 games under it, and each game is going to be different. It's using the same rules, and yeah. Oh yeah, Shadzar makes a good point. I even forgot about that. There's the bare bones, if you want to run a game, here it is. This is the basic rules. They're available, and they even have level characters, 13 different characters, level 1 to 10, as PDFs that you can download if you really wanted to investigate without paying anything up front. 5th edition is really kind of a hands-off, like, whoa, okay, guys, we get it. You don't want to buy hardback books every month. Gotcha. And also, don't forget, if you have a friendly local game store, you can ask about their Adventure League. That's like a free weekly campaign that Wizards publishes that you guys can run through. Where were we now? Oh, right. Ability scores. So we can pump this up a lot, really. Our first one, we should get our strength up, and we could probably cap off. Let's go. Our first ability of 4, we're going to go 16 and 14. Our second one, we should go 18. Our third, we can go 18. And then our fourth, let's pump up his dex a bit. And then when he gets ready to hit his last level, we can cap his strength. And what else would go into? No. Maybe we can... I don't know. We'll drop it into wisdom or something right now. There's nothing else that's really going to get an automatic stat bump. Let's see. Oh, space. Shadzar, yeah, the Space Wolves. 40k is quite the hobby. I ran NIDS for the longest time, and despite being little pieces of plastic and bugs, they really add up. Space Wolves, I feel like over level 14. Especially compared to 4th edition Tapwater, because 4th edition went up to level 30, and you had this hero's journey, you got this epic destiny. I would agree, though you still get really cool and fun stuff past that. It might not seem over the top supernatural, like old 3rd edition Epic or 4th edition Epic had. I'm just looking for info to create a character, learn what spells. So Delcorin, yeah, you can find a lot of free info online there. Already called local, and all they do is magic. They said D&D was too hectic to host. If you are willing to learn how to run, and that's even something I can help you learn how to do here. I mean, every night I stream, we'll do this. Occasionally I might play Final Fantasy XIV or do something fun there. I can give you tips, because you are probably not the only one in your area that is experiencing that. And everyone's looking for someone to run a game, because most people like playing. But if you're willing to step up and, put it out there and learn, you can get a starter mod for, cheapest free. And go, you should have a easy time finding a group. And you could even talk to your comic shop and say, look, if you just give me a corner, I'll keep everyone under control. We'll go from there. Or you could go to your local library. Libraries are aching to have programs run in them. And a lot of them even have private and quiet rooms that you could gather. I run a board game night at my local library. And I've done D&D there as well. It's a great time. You can meet other people. What are some other things here? I agree, Shadzar. I found a game online that's starting soon. They're going to do a West Marches style. That's another good point, Delcorin. You can get on virtual tabletops. There's a couple services. D20 is a lot of fun. I have used that in the past, although I prefer, heads up, eye contact, D&D. Let's see, to think, free rules. I hate plastic NIDs. Mine are all still... Oh, geez, 2nd edition metal. I even have some Forge World, some of the big bugs, too. Oh, those suckers are something else. You drop a gun on your toe, you lose a toe. They don't call it a flesh bore for nothing. Oh, this is why I love nerd humor. Yes, how do you keep a 12-year campaign fresh? It's fresh because the consequences... The actions and decisions, and therefore consequences, good or bad, of the player characters carry over into the next generation of the world. Whether it's 10 years after the game ends, or 100 years, or, it's a bigger skip. The players are a part of the world. And yeah, I'm presenting the world, but they're still influencing it. So the things, we'll use the Firefly, they're big damn heroes. The decisions they make and the repercussions that happen keep the world alive. And it also keeps the players invested in the game. Because they know, oh, I ran away from the bad guy, and I'm just making something up. I ran away from the bad guy instead of confronting him. Yeah, the world continues because the bad guy's not going to destroy the place that he lives in. But then the next campaign is going to be heavily influenced by the villain that they didn't put down in the first one. Or even, let's say that someone gets the flaming sword of holy righteous brightness, and they smite whatever. Well, now all of a sudden, you have the flaming sword of, brightness and justice. And that becomes an item to be coveted by a group, whatever the next generation group that's coming up. And maybe they want it for a nefarious plan, or maybe they even see this thing as, you know what, if we need this relic to live, we're in danger, because if something happens to it, then we're done for. And so they could even have good intentions and go in and steal the relic in order to show how actually weak everyone is, because they can't survive in a world without it. So the world is fresh because there are consequences, there are things that carry over into whatever happens. And it also means that the players are... They have to trust in the survival, not just of their characters, but the survival of the people, of the world, of the city, of the country, that kind of a thing. Shadzar does say most people play the game to win and miss the point of D&D. If you're playing a mod, it has one cover, it has another cover. It could lead to more, but if you're playing it as a contained game, you can have fun with it. Don't get me wrong. You can have tons of fun with a mod, a one-shot, whatever. But if you want to be in a living, breathing world, you have to treat it as such. Living, breathing worlds have consequences. The decisions of the leader of a country, even if it's not your own, carry and ripple to other countries. Economic decisions, religious decisions. Not that you have to be you don't have to go to a seminary school, or you don't have to study economics, but just realize that, if something happens, if a major invention is created, black powder, railroad, or heck, if you even want to go Bronze Age going into Iron Age, the invention of certain smithing or, chemistry breakthroughs. All of these have huge impacts on the world, and it's slowly growing and developing as you, as the DM, and your players want. Memory Lapse has good advice too. You guys can keep talking. I'll catch up, but I want to keep going in here real quick. So this is going to be +4, +2, +4. Good old -1. What's a character without a -1 somewhere? Everyone gets an inspiration point. I actually do a variant in 5th edition where, for things like personality traits, ideals, and all that, I ask my players, one of these has to be rolled randomly. The others, you can choose off the list or make a proposition to me as you want. But what I will do is, if you're willing to give up those aspects of control over your character, and you are willing to roleplay whatever happens, for each of those qualities that you roll randomly, I will give you a floating inspiration point that you can use at some point during the campaign. And that way, it's a little bit of risk and reward. Yeah, it may not be the optimal personality trait that you're running, but if you get yourself in a pinch, you can possibly get out of it by having this inspiration point. 16th level, he has a +5 proficiency bonus. Okay, strength is going to be a +9. Dex is +2. That will be modified by one of the Barbarian abilities, so it'll actually be higher in some circumstances. I think you have to be able to see the attack coming. 4 + 5 is a +9. Intelligence is a -1. There's not a lot of things that attack intelligence. However, something like an illusion might completely baffle him. +2 and +0. Oh, Tapwater. Hey, you know what? It's my pleasure. I do this for fun. I want to be interactive with you all. I'm happy to talk, answer questions. This is a chill stream. This is a conversation stream. It's not just me, narrating in, some Ben Stein. This is what you do. Now add this number. I won't tell you why. Just add the number. This is fun. We got to make it fun. Okay. We have our con, which is 4. So 15 times 4 is 60, plus 16 is 76. 81. So he has 91. Woo! This is going to be a tough boy, especially with the resistances and everything. All right. Now we'll come over to the skills. Dex is +2. And let's look at our other Dex skills, which are towards the bottom. We're going to carry down that +2 and a +2. Animal handling is a wisdom. 2 plus his proficiency is a +7. Let's look at other wisdoms. He's going to get a 2 here. A 2 here. A 7 here. And a 2 here. Intelligence, Arcana. I know magic exists, but that's about it. History. He can tell you his banners and his bannermen. He might even know a little bit about battles or other things that are relevant to his interests, which could include alcohol, based on what we were going before with his brewer's tools, and why he chose to be proficient in them, which, again, is separate than him actually having them. Investigation. A ranger or a detective he is not. Why bother knowing which berries poison you when you don't even care? You're a dwarf. Just eat whatever. Poison doesn't really affect you. And even if you are poisoned, so what? You're a dwarven barbarian. Just flex it out and sweat out the poison. Just force it from your body. Athletics, the one strength skill. Well, the one deliberate one. This is an option that I use that I could suggest to you all as a player or a DM. 5th edition opens it up, so really you can use anything with anything. There's nothing... In fact, a controversial thing from Xanathar's guide is that rope use, which traditionally was dex, right, because you're using fingers, whatever, they said that rope use, they suggest by default is intelligence, because you need to know the knots before you could even tie the knots. Something I do is part of the background or just interlaced before the game starts, I ask my characters to make what's called a background skill. That is something that is specific related to who they were or what they did before the adventure begins. They could have been an innkeep. They could have been, a newsie, or a town crier. They could have done something. And that skill, while I don't give them proficiency, I give them advantage on it. So in the situation where the skill comes up, I allow them to say, hey, can I run this skill maybe through Dex? Let's say that they were a newsboy or a town crier or something when they were a kid. That could be charisma, right? Because you go X3, read all about it, and you're trying to get people's attention. Well, as a newsie too, you're scampering around. So he said, well, you know what? Based on this, if I'm trying to squeeze through a crowd, would you let me use newsie through Dex instead of through int or through by knowing the headlines or by charisma by shouting it out? So not only can they modify the ability that they're routing through this background skill, they get advantage on it as well. And then if they wanted proficiency, they could take the feat to give proficiency to skills. But this way, it shows that, you do something other than wake up and say, I'm an adventurer. I got a sword in my hand. You know what? Some adventurers do that. They're paid to do it. That's their job, to adventure, to be a soldier. A lot of people, they shoveled horse poop out of the road. They worked at a money changing house. They were a policeman, just sort of like a foot patrolman. So, things like this that bring your character to life. Talk to your DM about it or contemplate it for your own. If you're a PC, how can you make yourself a relatable, believable character? Ooh, I'm on a soapbox apparently instead of a nice comfy reclining chair. Deception is charisma. +0. Not that he won't try to lie to you. He just might not be the best at it. He will try to persuade you otherwise. All right, skills are filled in. Hit points initiative is based off of our dex. He's a little twitchy. We have unarmored defense, which is 10 plus dex plus con. So 10 plus 2 plus 4 is 16. Barbarians. Barbarians can use shields. They can't even wear armor. If you're going into combat and, you know, you want to be more than just like the shirtless brute or whatever, or in this case, he's a noble. So maybe he's wearing his house's colors as a tabard. And that's his armor, so to speak. You know, they can wear armor. They just don't get their unarmored defense. That being said, let's say that you roll a Dragonborn or something that gets a natural defense. You choose which defense bonus you want. Do you want to wear armor, get unarmored defense, or did you want your natural armor from the race that you're playing? Or, you know, from a magic source. It's kind of 4th edition in that case where it doesn't stack as much as you would in 3rd edition traditionally. You get to choose the source of what you want to, you know, what you want to have happen. It's a padded soapbox, one of those foot straight. Good observation, Delcorin. I believe we are almost done. Oh, we got to fill in our passive wisdom. Where's our perception? Okay, he has a 17. This is a big boyo for being a dwarf. He would get some extra starting gold. Something else that I do at towards the end of character creation is I give I give all characters a trinket, a randomly rolled trinket, because it helps with storytelling. What is this thing? Is it an important part of your character? Did he just find it along the way? As a DM, it can act as a weird sort of like door, like not necessarily a MacGuffin, but like as a door into the character, so that if something happens, like I can make the crystal doorknob, you know, shimmer in a certain instance. And that is a way for me to not put someone on railroads when I'm trying to tell the story and, you know, choo-choo, do my, you know, one point to the next. Come on, play along, kids. I can help it to draw attention and to influence, not make the decision for my players. Warlock. We're almost there. Wizard after wizard. Our backgrounds, random height and weight. Multi-classing is around here too. Oh, I also do offer a little bit of bonus treasure. While I do provide starting packages, I'm, you know, for supplies, to invest in something, trade goods, what have you. Barbarians get 2d4 times 10. 40. He gets an extra 40. And he's a rich barbar. Tables, and trinkets. Percentile roll for this one. His trinket's going to be a 57, which is on the next page. An indecipherable treasure map. Hey, there's a good, that's a good side note you can weave into a campaign or even make a campaign around. Memory says, buys the DM time for his or her own ideas. Happens to a lot of DMs over time. Or you can take an old idea you used, but spin it in a different way. Same chassis, but it gives you a different shell. Yes. Tools, languages. I think we're good there. Oh, we have to fill in our... scroll up just a bit. If only to be semi-completionist here. Javelins thrown, because they are thrown, you can use strength. So, plus 9. All the way down. Javelins were 1d6 piercing. Throwing hammer. That's a light hammer. 1d4 plus 4 bludgeoning. And a great axe is 1d12 plus 4 slashing. Nice. Look at that damage spread. This is a tool for all occasions. He gets to attack twice with any of those. And all the modifiers that come here. Again, I'm not going to type out all of this because there's going to be a ton. When I make these, when I find a Dropbox or a Discord or something, we've talked about options tonight on the stream. I'll find something, and if any of you want to go in and take these characters and modify them, fill them out further, you're welcome to do so. These are just a list of placeholders. Besides, if he was your character, you'd probably even have these abilities memorized, and you wouldn't need them all written out on the character sheet. We're almost done. We need 4 things, and you as chat are welcome to type in what you'd like. We need to give this character a name. We need to fill in his eye color, skin color, and hair color. And not just color, but the type. You know, does he have like rough skin that's, you know, dark and weathered? Does he have fair, smooth hair, or is he balding? His eyes, you know, do they sparkle? Are they sullen? Are they dark? Is he heterochromatic, where he has, you know, 2 different colored eyes? You know, if we wanted to try and tell a story with his with the elven rogue we randomly rolled before here, who he seems to have a tie to, we decided to give her heterochromatic eyes. She had a blue one and a silver one. Maybe he shares the same and they're just swapped. Maybe, I don't know, he has just like milky white eyes. He can see, but they're just, I don't know, maybe it hints at, you know, a little bit of a tiefling or fiendish influence where, you know, you get just the solid color eye instead of having pupils or irises. But you all are welcome to give me suggestions. How do you envision this, this young noble, or this young knight dwarf? Who is, you know, kind of arrogant, selfish. He is neutral evil. What would you see him as? We can fill in these boxes here. I'll scroll up a bit in case you wanted to read through. His personality traits: no one could doubt by looking at my regal bearing that I am a cut above the unwashed masses, and once his favor is lost, it is lost forever. His ideal is power. If I can attain more power, no one will tell me what to do. His bonds: his house's alliance with another noble family must be sustained at all costs, and his flaw is I have an insatiable desire for carnal pleasures. You know, so he's not a vegetarian. Oh, okay, Delcorn, you mean like that, like the professorial, like on the side kind of a thing? Memory says, give him eyes that are very inviting, since he's a noble knight, but he has a neutral evil alignment. Okay, we'll do medium length, straight, black with white streak. So the eyes, what Memory is proposing, give him eyes that are very inviting, since he's a noble. He's a noble knight, but he has a neutral. Steel Dust. Oh, thank you for being in here and commenting. Darker skinned with intense, almost inquisitive eyes. For him, losing favor forever. Quick to. We were talking about at character creation to give him a darker, like really earthy skin, like maybe a dark brown, not quite Duragar, like the Underdark Drow, which is like the complete absence of any color or tone or hue. Like we're talking like midnight black, like the Drow. But something like a chocolate brown or just like a rich earthy color. Like tan might not even be doing it justice. We'll put in chocolate for now. If any of you have better terminology for it. Eyes. Okay, so inviting eyes, but ones that maybe inquisitive. So maybe. Oh, thank you, Steel Dust. Especially since he has dark skin. If we're thinking about this artistically, what goes really well with brown to stand out, especially if he has like black hair with a white streak, something that could complement the white streak and go with the dark brown skin might be light blue eyes and with longer lashes. It's a little bit more gentle and inviting, right? If you're just looking him in the face, you know, he's got the baby blues. He has this, this alluring quality. Poetically, then those light blue eyes, those baby blues turn to ice as they judge you, as they affix on you, and especially with the darker, framed in the darker skin of his head. They become intense. You can imagine everything else fades out, and then it just, like zooms in like anime style or letterboxed on his eyes, and and they squint, and he's just he's looking you down. Well, he's a dwarf. He's looking you up, and he's determining what he's going to do with you. The blue and silver eyes could contrast and tied with the other character. So yeah, the other character was a random level 17 rogue wood elf, and we were talking, and it was Delcorin mentioned, hey, why don't we go heterochromatic eyes? One blue, one silver is what we ultimately determined. Well, as we were making this dwarf character, his bond is the same as the similarly young, similarly aged, similar level elf. And they both are nobles with a house that must be protected at all costs. And there could have been something, to have a heterochromatic eyes, something in the family line could have occurred, something along those lines. And when we were developing the early stages of the dwarf based on his background and his personality, we proposed, well, what if, because she's kind of in a rivalry with a dwarven noble house, well, what if he's in this dwarven noble house? And each of them might be enemies or might be frenemies, kind of in a Romeo-Juliet thing. But if we're looking at eye color, what if he had the opposite? What if he also had a silver eye and a blue eye, but they were swapped? That could lead to all kinds of backstory, storytelling, a campaign in itself to figure out what happened, what's going on, why are these houses even threatened, and then especially, as the players, how would they get along if they are after the same thing in two vastly different ways? You have a neutral good, thiefy rogue, but we flavored her as a face. She's a social rogue. She likes getting information, rubbing elbows, maybe doing some blackmail. Not really going for kidneys. She can. In fact, she's really good with a crossbow. But we built her as a social rogue. And now we have this noble knight dwarf who is just this hulk of a thing. He's still noble. He has these ideals, but he's approaching things differently and is neutral evil. Almost like a vampire's judgment of its potential next victim, when thinking of the ideal and flaw with the noble knight background, all about the next political gain. Yeah. That's why I like doing this stuff last. because we've told a story throughout the character creation process. Now we can fill in the details. We've painted the background, right? Here's Bob Ross, right? We've painted the sky and the mountain, but now let's fill in the layers of trees and lakes and everything after that. Also, having played a ton of Vampire the Masquerade, I get what you're saying too. Okay. I think we can fill in these boxes at another session when I'm just going to bring up characters and we'll go over the basics, and we can actually fluff story, or we can make a mental campaign where we just take them on a journey. We don't really need to roll dice. The last thing we need, and any of you can offer a name, whether it's like a proper dwarven name or it's a nickname he's known by or a title or something. We need a character name so we can finally button him up and he'll be created and ready to go. What kind of a name comes to mind to you all? It could even be elven. Maybe he was adopted by an elven family, or maybe she was adopted by a dwarven family, if we're sticking with that as their backstory. It could be a completely... Maybe he's nouveau riche. He's not one of the old clans, but a newer one struck the mother lode or like negotiated a trade deal and is now very wealthy, so maybe he's conceited because of that. So it's not the old, like, oh, we're the water coursers or the rock breakers, or, you know, these very, like, iconic, bold, whatever, you know, ancient dwarven names, but they're a newer one. You know, maybe he's a... pardon me. Maybe he's a so-and-so tradesman or something like that. What would you like this guy to be named? What's coming out to you as my audience, as people who've come on this journey with me, as we've been doing this together? What's a good, solid dwarf name? That's fine, Delcorin. You know, with names, this is a made up world. It could be... I mean, we can call him Bob if we really wanted to. There's nothing saying that we can't. Yeah, we could use a fantasy name generator. The PHB has a list of suggested names for males and females, and even family names. Let's see, is everything here filled in? Hjalmar, insert house name. Okay. Hjalmar. Oh, we're getting some here. Ignore the first. Okay, we got some options in chat here. So you're saying it should be Hjalmar. Let's see. And then we have some other suggestions we can do for a family name. Undroli, Ironhelm, Galifax, Adric, Thoradin. I like Undroli. Hjalmar Undroli. Strong dwarven name. And don't you forget how to pronounce the J. And give him an Elvish clan name. Yeah. That could even be kept secret. You know, if all of us in here were a party together and I was helping you develop this dwarf, maybe you and the elf player would know this, but you wouldn't have to tell anyone. You wouldn't write it on your character sheet, but both of you would know. But would any of you say it, or would any of the other characters find it out? That's a good suggestion, Memory Lapse. Awesome. I think we have a mostly finished character. As a barbarian, he doesn't have any spells, so page 3 doesn't need to be filled in. All the other relevant stuff is there. I have a good number of you all. Thank you for watching. I'm still good to go for a little bit longer. I am going to need to take a break. If you all need to take a potty break, snack, I don't know, do you have a pet cat you want to give some attention to? Or is it demanding it? Give me about, I don't know, 5 minutes or so. And then I'll come back and we can finish out the rest of the broadcast. I don't know if I'd want to do another high level character. We might be able to do like a first level, or like, not a first, but like a low level. Or you know what? We could swap stories. I could tell you tales from the tabletop. We can talk about your characters. If you have any questions about the mechanics, or if you need to break some writer's block, we can do that. I dropped a box and scared my cat off, so I'm good. Very good, Delcorn. Okay, so enjoy the music. I'm going to mute up the mic here and take a quick break. I'm going to get a snack, a drink, do what you guys need to do. I will turn the mic on and narrate a little bit, about a minute or so before I come back on with my, with what we're going to finish tonight as a group. I'm so super happy you all have found me and that you've stayed and you've enjoyed this and you're a part of this story.